Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Amelia. Today I'm gonna answer the question. Language teaching methodology, listening and speaking. Question number 1. How many strands are there? The answer is 4. The principle of the 4 strands are states that while balanced, a language course should consist of 4 equal strands: meaning-focused input, meaning-focused output, language-focused learning, and fluency development. Each strand should receive a roughly equal amount of time in the course. Number 2, what is the first strand? The answer is meaning-focused input, because the first thing to do is to do input and do it with listening and reading. Number 3, what is the second strand? The answer is meaning-focused output. The second thing is to bring out what we have input by speaking and writing. Question number 4. What is the third strand? The answer is language focus learning. In this strand, where you explicitly learn language, features grammar, vocabulary, spelling, pronunciation, and discourse. Question number 4. What is the fourth strand? The answer is fluency development. In this strand, the focus lies on improving fluency in your target language in all 4 skills: listening, writing, reading, and speaking. Number 6. It is called meaning focus because in all the work done in this strand, the learner's main focus and interest should be on understanding and gaining knowledge or enjoyment, or both, from what they listen to and read. The answer is true. This is true. It is called meaning focus because in all the work done in this strand, the learner's main focus and interest should be on understanding and gaining knowledge or enjoyment, or both, from what they listen to and read. I find this answer in PDF. Question number 7. Incidental learning through input is adamant is not dependent on large quantities of input to gain sufficient repetition. The answer is false, because incidental learning is learning that occurs unintentionally from activities where learning is not a conscious goal for the learner. For example, when someone plays a sport just for fun, but ends up improving of their skill over time, they're engaging in incidental learning. Number 8. One person's output can be another person's input. The answer is true, because when someone outputs a statement, others will input the statement so that it's the right thing or true. Question number 9. Sorry. Typical activities in this trend include extensive reading, shared reading, listening to story, watching TV or films, and being a listener in a conversation. The answer is meaning-focused input. In this trend, the focus should be on trying to understand, gain knowledge, and enjoy what you are listening and reading about. Activities include watching TV shows, or movies, intensive reading, listening, and to radio or music, or being a listener in a conversation. Question number 10. Typical activities in this trend include talking in conversations, giving a speech or lecture, writing a letter, writing a note to someone, keeping a diary, telling a story, and telling someone how to do something. The answer is meaning focused output, because output activities are outputting what they have input. Other activities in this trend include keeping a diary, writing notes, blogging, having conversation, giving speech and or instruction, among others. Question number 11. Typical activities in this trend are pronunciation practice using substitution, tables, and drills, learning vocabulary from word cards, intensive reading, translation, memorizing dialogues, and getting feedback about writing. The answer is language sorry learning focused language focused learning, where you explicitly learn language features, grammar, vocabulary, spelling, pronunciation, and discourse. This might seem unpopular in today's language, in today sorry, where you explicitly learn language features, grammar, vocabulary, spelling, pronunciation, and discourse. This might seem unpopular in today's language learning or teaching fields, but these forms are integral and efficient method to improve your language. Activities include using speech repetition system and flashcard and pronunciation and grammar drills. Question number 12. Typical activities include speed reading, skimming, and scanning, repeated reading for 3, 2, repeated retelling, 10-minute writing, and listening to easy stories. The answer is fluency development. Because in these trends, the focus lies on improving fluency in your target language or in all four skills: listening, writing, reading, and speaking. Materials should all be comfortable to you. The goal is not to learn new items or new language, but to increase your processing and existing skills. Activities include speed reading, listening to material already known to you, and repeated retelling. Question number 13. The content of an English course for beginners will vary greatly according to age of the learners. The answer is true, because the material from the course content can be different, like in the middle school, elementary school, and can be different and must be adjusted to the age of the student so that it can be understood. Question number 14. Their educational background and previous experience in English is not affecting the content of an English course for beginners. The answer is false. It affects beginners, so what is declared is false. Question number 15. When people come from other country to English speaking country to work and study English, what is the condition called? The answer is English for a second learner, because they in their home country or use the language or of their own country and go to other English speaking countries and to work and study. It is called English for a second learner. Question number 16. When people are difficult in getting exposure of English and the only model are their teachers, what is the condition called? The answer is English as a foreign learner. They have difficult in exposure to English because they are foreign to the language. So they are called English exposure as a foreign learner. Question number 17. If the learners are children, then they should learn of the language which allow them to listen to simple stories, begin to read graded readers, and do interesting activities. The answer is high frequency words, because high frequency words make them understand more by starting to read simple story and doing interesting things. They can. Question number 18. 5 principles for teaching beginners. Choose the false one. The, the answer is new system, because 5 principles for teaching beginners are meaning, interest, understanding, stress-free, and new language, not new system. Question number 19. What describes the understanding principle? The answer is provide plainly of comprehensible input. Because not that most of these activities mentioned above first involve learners in learning the word through listening and doing before they deepen their uh, learning through using the word in guided speaking. Question number 20. What describes the meaning principle? The answer is focus on meaningful and relevant language, because the main focus should be on language that the learners can use quickly for their purpose rather than on too much grammar, explanation, or on words that are not directly useful. Number 21. What describes the stress-free principle? The answer is create a friendly, safe, cooperative classroom environment. There is strong evidence that anxiety influences learners' willingness to communicate in the second language. Therefore, it is particularly important that in the early stage of learning a second language, learners have a successful, low stress learning experience. because the is described as stress-free. Question number 22. The teacher and learners talk about things that happen outside school. Where appropriate, this can be about the learner's family, their hobbies, how they travel to school, favorite food, and so on. Choose what describe choose what description is this. The answer is informal conversation. Because after I find out, this explanation described the informal conversation. Informal conversation, the teacher and learners talk about that happened outside school where appropriate. This can be about the learner's family, their hobbies, how they travel to school, favorite food, and so on. The informal conversation. Question number 23. The teacher and learners talk about previous classwork. Choose what description is this. The answer is recalling previous lessons because this statement describes to recalling previous lessons and there are sentences talk about previous classwork and I think this is described to recalling previous lessons. Question number 24. During an activity, the teacher can ask the learners if they like the particular activity and if they want to do more of it. Choose what description is this. The answer is finding out learners' opinions and ideas. Because this is when I find out in this PDF, the answer is like finding out learners' opinions and ideas. During an activity, the teacher can ask the learners if they like particular activity and they want to do more in it. This dialogue can be the early beginners of a partly negotiated syllabus. Question number 25. There are several ways of deciding what sentence and phrases to learn. What is the first thing to do? The answer is the learners think of things they want to be able to say, and the teacher provides the second language phrase to say this. Um, because because this must be taught before it is said, and the teacher also gives a phrase of language, and I also see this in the section on several ways of deciding what sentence and phrases to learn in PDF. 26. There are several ways of deciding what sentence and phrase to learn. What is the last thing to do? The answer is the teacher follows a course book because at the end what has to be done is for the teacher to follow a course book. Question number 27. We often take the importance of listening for granted, and it is arguably the less understood and most overlooked of the four skills L, S, R, and W in the language classroom. The answer is true. This is true because we only rely on frequent listening just like that and ignore the first skill. Question number 28. It was taken for granted that first language speakers needed instruction in how to read and write, but not how to listen and speak, because these skills were automatic, automatically automatically acquired by native speaker? The answer is true. This is true because the first speakers also need prior instructions such as how to write and read. Write and read. Question number 29. 29. Typically associated with the transfer of information. The answer is one-way listening. Because one-way listening is a physical linguistic process in which the listener receives, interprets, reads to the source and of the oral input, but does not respond communicatively. The listener is engaged in listening, but does not interact with the speaker, such as asking for clarification, answer, slower speech, or repetition. Question number 30. Typically associated with maintaining social relations, interactional listening. The answer is two-way listening, because two-way listening refers listeners active involvement in a communicative situation where at least one other inter interloc interlocutor interlocutor involved. In two-way listening, meaning is perceived, inference and predicted, synthesized, negotiate, and CO constructs with interlocutors. Question number 31. The process the listeners uses to assemble the message piece by piece from the speech stream going from the parts the whole. The answer is bottom up. Bottom up processing involves uh, the explanation described in the text. Bottom up. Question number 32. The listener uses what they know of the content of communication to predict what the message will contain and use a part of the message to confirm, correct, or add to this. The answer is top down. Because the explanation or meaning of top down is the process involved the listeners going from the whole, their prior knowledge and their content, and the rheto, uh, rhetorical schemata to the verbs. Question number 33. The teacher talks about where she lives and what it is like living there, and then asks the learners, where do you live? So each item consists of a simple question, which is preceded by quite a long talk on the same topic. What is the name of this technique? The answer is yes. Question number 33. The teacher talks about where she lives and what it is like living there, and then asks the learners, where do you live? So each item consists of a simple question, which is preceded by quite a long talk on the same topic. What is the name of this technique? The answer is paired questions. Because paired questions give a lot of listening practice with a minimal language response. Question number 34. The teacher describes something, and the learners have to decide what is being described. What is the name of this technique? The answer is, what is it? What is the technique has already described as a way of guiding early listening and speaking. It can also to produce a large quantities of recorded material or developing the listening skill, and as well is useful as an impromptu technique. Question number 35. The listener listens to a story and occasionally about once every 50 words. The teacher pauses so that the learners can guess the next word in the story. What is the name of this technique? The answer is oral cloth. The words should be easy to guess, and the guessing should not interrupt the story too much. If the learners can produce very little English, a list of possible words can be put on the board for them to choose from, or they can answer their first language immediately after the learners have guessed. The teachers gives the answers. Question number 37, 38, 36. Sorry. The learners see a set of pictures that are in the wrong order. They listen to a description of each of the pictures. What is the name of this technique? The answer is picture ordering. Suitable pictures can be found in picture composition, big books, or among the comic strips from Sunday newspaper. Instead of using pictures that tell a story, a collection of pictures of face or cards, for example, yes, can be used. Question number 37. A dictation text is a piece of connected language about one 100 to 150 words long. The answer is true. This is true, and it is usually chosen so that it is reasonably complete in itself and contains material that suits the level of the learners from whom it is intended. Question number 38. Dictation text should contain useful or interesting content such as that seen in humorous and or unusual stories, dialogues, and poems. The answer is true. This is true. A dictation text can be taken from material that the learners have studied before or will study, or it can be taken from other books of a similar level. Question number 39. When learners make very few mistakes in dictation, instead of reading the text several times, the teacher can read it only once on short phrases. The answer is one change dictation. Because if the learners note that it will be read only once, it provides a challenge for them to pay attention. If they know that the teacher will read the text several times, they might not listen carefully to the first reading. Question number 40. The learners have a copy of dictation text in front of them. They work in small groups, with one person in the group reading the dictation for the others to write. The answer is peer dictation. Because the meaning of peer dictation is in the talks, in the explanation, it may be turned into a competition in the following way: the learners work in pairs. Question number 41. Nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs are written on the blackboard in the same order as they are in the text. Thus, when the learners listen to the text, they can give their attention to the other difficult words. The answer is guided dictation, because the meaning of guided dictation is the in the text. Yes, a noun, verb, adjective, and adverbs. Question number 42. Even top native speakers cannot explain structure, patterns, and rules. They are able to indicate which are permitted within their language and which are not. The answer is true. This is true because a native speaker will know which is allowed. Question number 43. There are 5 factors that have been shown to have major effects on the learning of another system. Yeah. Choose the incorrect one. The answer, Choose the incorrect one. The answer is second language. Because 5 factors that have been shown to have major effects on the learning of another sound system are the age of the learner's first language, the learner's current language of the previous development, the experience and attitudes of the learners, and the condition for teaching and learning. No, second language is not. Question number 44. The teacher hardly speaks but guides the learners to find their own criteria for the sounds of the language. The answer is silent way. Because the silent way, it is based on the premise that the teacher should be silent as much as possible in the classroom, but the learners should be encouraged to produce as much language as possible. The answer to question number 45. Pronunciation is given gently but clearly from a point aside of the learner's view but within their personal space. The answer is community language learning. Because community language learning is a language teaching approach focused on group interest learning. It is because on the counseling approach which the teacher acts of counselor and parapressor, while the learner is seen a client and collaborator. That's all for me. I'm sorry if I make mistakes. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.